Kill him. Kill him now.
Palpatine defeated every enemy he faced, politically, militarily, and even in combat. But there was one man who made him hesitate. That man was Count Dooku. At first, Sidious saw Dooku as nothing more than a placeholder, a refined politician, a fallen Jedi with just enough influence to lead the Separatists. But after watching him clash with Yoda, Palpatine's opinion changed forever. Dooku wasn't just an apprentice. He wasn't just a tool. He was becoming a rival, someone who could match Yoda, command an entire galactic faction, had his own Sith apprentice, and who held dangerous knowledge that few people knew in the galaxy. And that's exactly why Palpatine began to fear him. Today, let's dive into this interesting subject. Let's try to understand why one of the most powerful Sith of all time was growing weary and becoming afraid of Count Dooku, his new apprentice. First, it's important to understand that Palpatine was practically unstoppable. Politically, he dismantled opponents through persuasive manipulation in the Senate with near zero resistance. Just think about how he removed his predecessor, Chancellor Valorum. As Senator of Naboo, he moved through the Republic with unmatched influence, carefully shaping events from the shadows. No Jedi could uncover his true identity, no rival dared challenge him, and no plan failed to unfold exactly as he intended. He was strategic, patient, and seemingly invincible, a force working quietly, but with unstoppable precision. But militarily, Sidious avoided direct confrontation. Sith were about cunning, not brute duels. Now, in order to understand this subject, it's really important to understand Palpatine's expectations. When he first took Dooku as his apprentice, he didn't expect him to be a true Sith, at least not yet. Dooku was meant to be a placeholder, a figurehead to rally the Separatists and lend the war a sense of legitimacy. Palpatine valued his skill, his intelligence, and his charisma, but above all, he needed someone who could lead without questioning. Dooku was to be the public face, the political mastermind, while Palpatine secretly pulled the strings. But soon Palpatine realized that he might have underestimated Dooku's ambition and force powers. And then, the duel that changed it all happened. Dooku first clashed with Yoda at the start of the Clone Wars during the Battle of Geonosis. It was a masterclass in lightsaber dueling and force subtlety. Neither dominated, but the outcome? Palpatine saw that Dooku wasn't just capable, he was nearly equal to Yoda. That duel revealed how dangerous Dooku was, and that Sidious underestimated him as a placeholder. But wow, was he wrong. He'd built a Separatist leader who could contend with the Grand Master himself. And that's exactly why shortly after this duel, Sidious changed his strategy. As I previously said, before the Clone Wars, Sidious avoided duels. But after that, he started engaging, carefully. During the Clone Wars, you see his duels with Maul, Savage Opress, and even one with Yoda. That's when his fighting style became ferocious, unpredictable, and acrobatic. He was blending lightning-fast strikes with brutal precision. He also combined Sith sorcery and aggressive lightsaber techniques, making him nearly impossible to anticipate or counter. He needed to prepare for Dooku-level threats, and that meant fighting better. Dooku wasn't just a Sith figurehead. He was one of the few who knew Palpatine was both the Chancellor and Darth Sidious, and he could speak to both worlds. Theoretically, Sidious had no to little power in the Separatists. Dooku was the power. The only way for Sidious to give orders to the CIS was through Dooku. The Count was also really respected in the Confederacy. In the Clone Wars, Dooku commands armies of battle droids, and generals like Grievous and the Separatist Council members follow his orders without question, showing both fear and respect. He's seen as a unifying figure for the various factions in the CIS, and even when disagreements arise, they defer to his judgment because of his training, charisma, and political influence. He managed diplomacy, war strategy, and charismatic leadership, and Sidious had no real authority in that sphere, only in that of the Republic. That threatened Sidious's manipulation, because the puppet could occasionally dance on his own. And during the Clone Wars, Count Dooku also took Asajj Ventress as his apprentice. Ventress was already a deadly dark side assassin, and Dooku's mentorship elevated her power even further. Unlike a typical Sith apprentice, she wasn't bowed by Sidious's direct control, giving Dooku an independent source of dark side strength that could rival or complicate Sidious's plans. And Palpatine saw something unsettling. Dooku's relationship with Ventress mirrored how he treated Maul. In The Phantom Menace, with Plagueis still around, Sidious had groomed Maul as an assassin. Maul was supposed to be the one that does his dirty business, yet eventually he planned to kill Darth Plagueis and make Maul his true Sith apprentice. Now of course that didn't happen because a young Obi-Wan managed to cut Maul in half, but this looked like a strong déjà vu for Palpatine. Seeing Dooku cultivating Ventress, someone who might rival or even betray, certainly lit a warning sign. The Count was also a master of both the light and dark sides of the Force. Dooku was trained by Yoda and mastered the Makashi form. He even taught Qui-Gon Jinn, the only Jedi that could have been a threat to both Sidious and Darth Plagueis. Qui-Gon was a threat because of his strong connection to the living Force, thus allowing him to sense corruption and manipulation that most Jedi overlooked. This is a long, fascinating subject, and if it sounds interesting to you, I made a full video explaining it in detail. But now let's get back to Dooku. His Jedi past shaped his moral code and sense of honor, making him strategic, disciplined, and unusually composed for a Sith. And beneath that refinement lay ambition, cunning, and the coldness of the dark side. This duality, light and dark, made him unpredictable, a thinker and a warrior in one. It's why Sidious couldn't fully control him, why Ventress followed Dooku's guidance, and why the Separatists deferred to his judgment without question. Dooku's philosophy wasn't just power, it was influence, intellect. In Legends, he's sometimes seen as even more balanced and compelling than Palpatine at his peak. And that duality, pristine Jedi training melded with Sith coldness, shook Sidious's certainty. He certainly didn't expect a Sith apprentice who was smarter, more composed, more charismatic than he'd built. But by the end of the Clone Wars, Count Dooku's once formidable presence had begun to show cracks. He was weary and drained both physically and mentally. Years of orchestrating battles, manipulating the Separatists, and playing Sidious's game had left him exhausted and disillusioned. In private, he even confided in Palpatine, revealing a rare vulnerability. He acknowledged that the war had taken its toll, and that his strength alone might no longer be enough to control events. So we arrive at that critical moment in Revenge of the Sith, Sidious encouraging Anakin to behead Dooku. Everything tipped in a favor of a younger, more controllable Sith, and someone with raw, explosive power. And there we have it, Count Dooku, the fallen Jedi who became more than just a Sith apprentice, more than just a Separatist leader. He was cunning, powerful, and dangerously independent, a rival even Palpatine had to respect and fear. But in the end, the war, the politics wore him down. Dooku's strength faded, leaving him vulnerable to the very master he was following. Thank you very much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. And if you want to keep exploring, check out my new video, All Imperial Ranks Explained, From Stormtrooper to Grand Moff. It breaks down exactly how the Empire was structured, and honestly, it will give you a whole new perspective on how Palpatine ruled his galaxy. As always, thank you very much for watching and see you soon.